welcome back to Fancy Goldfish Fanatics. Today obviously I am in a slightly different position in my home, and next to me you will see a cardboard box. Now for the viewers who saw one of the previous videos I did at Star Fisheries, I was actually selecting some tricolour Aranda for the brand new super simple budget goldfish aquarium. Now those Aranda are in here, and you will be in for a surprise. I did pick one of the tricolour Arandas, but there are another two Aranda that I haven't actually shown. Unless you do follow me on Instagram, then you probably would have seen them already. But within this box, we have our new fish for the super simple budget goldfish tank. Now you can see we do have two sponge filters, or well, they're actually doubled up. So we actually have 4 sponge filters on the back of the aquarium. Now, obviously you can see there are no sponges on them, and because for the past 3 months, the sponge filters have actually been maturing in the goldfish mega tank. So they've actually been sitting in the filter, maturing that biological bacteria. So I'm gonna get the fish out of the box, I'm gonna place them into the tank for acclimation. Whilst that's happening, I'm gonna remove the sponges from the goldfish mega tank, and then we can check out what new fish I've purchased. You will see in the bag behind me, we have 3 new Aranda for this aquarium. Now let me just get their box out the way. So this aquarium is gonna sort of move into another series where we're actually gonna be growing these fish on. Now obviously, I have mentioned this before, this tank isn't a long-term home for fancy goldfish. I assume these fish are going to be within this tank for maybe the next 3 to 6 months, but this is an entry point and an entry level to get into the fancy goldfish hobby. Now, running sponge filters on an aquarium means that I'm having to do a lot of maintenance and water changes to keep up with the waste output of these fish. Now, I wouldn't recommend running a big tank on sponge filters. They're perfect for small tanks, hospital tanks, quarantine tanks, and tanks where you have a small bioload of fish and you're prepared to do regular maintenance for them. So these guys are now going to acclimate, I'd say for probably about half an hour, 40 minutes, because the water they are in is a little bit colder than the room temperature of the tank. But now I'm going to go and grab the sponge filters, clean them off, get them into the tank, and then we can release our new fishy friends.
A few moments later.
So you would have seen me just add these sponge filters to the tank. So we have 4 sponge filters on there. I've doubled them up in height, so there is actually 2 sponge filters with 4 sponges on them, if that makes sense. You can see the water's gone quite cloudy. Now I did give these a thorough rinse from the goldfish mega tank filter, but obviously we do have a lot of dirt and detritus build up, which will get taken back up into those sponge filters, or I can just simply siphon it off. But the fish have actually now been acclimating for about 40 minutes, so obviously the water's going to clear up. I'm going to get them in the water, so they are acclimated now. I'm going to add them to the tank now, and then I'm going to probably give it a few hours, or maybe even tomorrow, and we can have a real good close look at them, and then I can talk to you a little bit more about this tank in depth, what my plans are for these fish, and just have a close look at the new inhabitants. So time to get them out the bag. It is now the next day. As you can see, the tank has really cleared up and the fish have settled in really well. As you saw, we've got the tricolour, we got the red cap, and the tiger Aranda. 3 different fish. I would say 3 different sort of body shapes, body styles, different caudal fins, just slightly different fish overall. Now, my aim with this tank is just to start growing these fish on, see how they develop. I'm going to be using the Hulk's goldfish food on this aquarium just to see how these guys grow. Now, I've said it already in this video, but I really want to exclaim that this tank is really just for a little grow out tank. You definitely cannot keep these fish in here long term. Now, I think you could potentially get away with having 2 small fish, like potentially 2 real short body Arandas, or 2 maybe pearl scale goldfish, or potentially some butterfly telescopes, something that's not going to get very big, something that's not from a sort of large line of fish or a jumbo line of fish. and I definitely wouldn't do more than 2 if you're keeping fish in here long term. But really, as I've already explained, my aim is just to grow these guys on, get a little bit of size on them, see how they develop, and just have a little experiment essentially with this setup, with this system. Now, as I have 2 sponge filters, or obviously they're doubled up, so I've got 4 sponge filters, I'm going to be having to do a lot of maintenance on this tank. This tank definitely isn't one that you want to set up and then just forget about or maintain once a month, for example. I'm going to be doing at least I would say 50 to 80% water change once or twice a week, because I want to grow these fish, and there is going to be a lot of waste buildup in the tank just running sponge filters. Now, if you want a tank like this, the way you don't want to quite do the same level of maintenance, then definitely you would need to look at a small canister filter or a much larger filter. But with this tank, I wanted to keep it super simple. Everything is contained within the tank. We have just the sponge filters and just an air pump running it. The only real power consumption is coming from that light. So it is a really low cost power consumption aquarium to run. And it is really simple to set up, really easy to put in any home, and it's really essentially to show you guys that you can get into the goldfish hobby nice and easily. You can buy a couple of small fish, grow them on, and then obviously upgrade your tank in future. Now, it would be all good me saying, oh, you need a really big tank to start with, because I would say 80%, if not 90% of people coming into the goldfish hobby will not do that. No matter what you say you should do, they just won't do that. So this is really an entry-level tank. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode, seeing the new fish that we've got for the aquarium and how well they're doing. I actually really like them. They're not any super high, super top quality specimens. I would say the tiger around it is probably my favorite, and it's probably the highest quality fish in here. You can see all of the fish don't have super compacted bodies, and I don't actually have a tricolor or a red cap oranda in the goldfish mega tank, so I thought it'd be interesting to grow a couple of these guys on, see how they change, see how the color changes, the wing growth, the body shape, the fins, etc., and just try keeping a few small fish. So if you do have any questions about today's video, please leave them down below. If you've got any comments or queries, let me know. And in the next episode I do on this tank, we're going to probably start feeding these guys, and we're going to document their growth, and especially on the Instagram where I post daily, a link is down below. I'm going to be updating regularly on these guys, see how they do, take some before pictures of them after this video today, and see how they grow, maybe do a recap once a month, something like that. But that is it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Remember to keep those water changes up, and happy fish keeping.